Evening Boxing Asylum listeners, Steve here, post-fight pod for Anthony Joshua. I've just witnessed him knocking out Joshua-Takam in the 10th round of what turned out to be quite an absorbing and grueling affair so far. On the call, we've got Rob Kelly. He said he's been saving his rant. I can hear myself talking again. That is not good. Amateur error, just got rid of that. That was me bringing the link up. Anyway, what I was saying, Rob, you were saving your rant for the pod itself, so we're going to unleash you now. What's happening as Andy jumps on the call?
What is happening? What is happening? What kind of a stoppage was that? I mean, the guy's right in the fight. Like, this is the unified heavyweight championship of the world. Like, he's gone in and he's performed way better than any of us thought he could. But I don't know if that says more about him or more about AJ. Like, once again, the gasket blows, right? Not as obvious tonight because he was conserving it, because he knows he can't go past 6 rounds. He's a 6-round fighter, like. And if there's a decent heavyweight out there, they're going to splatter him, like. And Fury would have played with him. And it's a pity we probably won't ever see that fight. I can't see Fury coming back now. And if he is, he's going to be 2-3 years out of the ring before that fight manifests. Like, so, but he might not be around by then, because if I was Lou DiBella now, I'd be rallying to get that fight made and forget about Dillian White, because that was absolute trash and that was not an advertisement for a fella. But maybe if I was Wilder, I might want to just take the $7 million to come over and blow him out in 2 rounds. And then take and force the AJ fight even more, but he mightn't be around. I thought Takam performed well in the fight. He was lovely, slick head movement. He was making Carlos Takam look like Archie Moore at some stages in the fight. So draw your own conclusions from that. But we go ahead and let Andy in, because I don't know. I think of more stuff as I go along. There's a lot to get to cover, like, but definitely signs there again that AJ is not what they say he is. If he is what they say he is, he should blow out Carlos Takam, shouldn't he? Like, a 6'1" guy, like, whose best performances are against Mike Perez and a loss to Parker. Like, he should blow him out, shouldn't he? He's AJ, isn't he, baby? He's the next Ali. He's what is he like? So anyway, sorry. Let Andy.
No problem. Rob's feeling the passion, Andy. I'm sure. I don't know if you are or not, to be honest, but Takam is small, as Rob says, and then it became a virtue halfway through the fight. You know, the small guys are difficult to deal with. They were clutching at straws with the commentary team a little bit, because Joshua should have really got rid of this guy, and it was difficult for him.
Smaller guy, you expect them to kind of like really late upon him. I don't know if the broken nose early doors was causing major problems. I really don't know, but Takam, I agree with Rob, man. I think everybody's raging about it. That stoppage was absolute bullshit. Okay, he's a smaller guy. He was actually doing. I'm on the podcast now. Aye, so.
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead, Andy.
Aye, no worries. His wife was giving me a hard time here. Shut up there now. So we're just talking about, like, broken nose maybe causing problems. I really don't know, but the stoppage. Can you imagine if AJ was stopped against Klitschko, when Klitschko actually had him like he was all over the place? Imagine if he got stopped there, just like what Takam got stopped there like tonight. Okay, he was losing the fight or whatever, but he was making it difficult for him. AJ, as you said, Bruno Mark II, he's really kind of conserving the gas. Takam doing the best as he can, I suppose. Stayed in the fight, slipping, dodging. Okay, shots when they're powerful or whatever, and that, but he was still kind of in the fight. You didn't stop a guy like that. No, after kind of on 12 days' notice, fighting his heart out, 2 cuts. It was all against him, and you stop him like that. Fucking bullshit.
Plus, they're giving AJ breaks in between. Say, oh, you look like you're going to gas there, AJ. We're going to give you a good minute here. Hold on for a second. Eddie's panicking. Somebody get him a break. Cut his glove. Do something, because he's running out of steam. I don't know. Like, you got to feel for Takam after a stoppage like that. Like, and he's still in the fight. Like, who's to say? You look when they had the break that time. He looked up at the clock. Like, that's Mayweather old man stuff, when you're looking up at the clock when you're 40 years of age, conserving energy, not when you're supposed to be in the prime of your life, like against I don't know, against the guy you should blow away. But I think it's
against Dwight Mohammed Kwawe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I was going to say something else. It made me think that Pulev would have given him a real fight too. Like, you know what I mean? And it also says that Klitschko was really done after nearly 2 years out. Like, it shows that he was really done. Because based on that, like, Carlos Takam, 10 rounds.
Do you think the broken nose really did affect him, or do you think that if Pulev was in there tonight, he would have been suffering the same? He was a bit too heavy, maybe. The gas tank's not there. Or do you think the broken nose exacerbated it? He looked to me like a guy who was learning on the job a little bit, which he is to a certain extent. You know, this is a new experience for him, and he didn't deal well originally with the broken nose, but the fact that Takam was a lot smaller, didn't punch hard enough, means he could keep him off. If he was in against Pulev tonight, Rob, like you say, I think he could have been in a little bit of trouble there.
Look how many live bodies has he fought? Like, he's had the Klitschko fight. He's fought 1.5 live bodies, the Klitschko fight, and Dillian White, who's shown even more as he goes on that he's not even a live body, he's a zombie as well. Like, what a trash can. Like, but yeah, so he's in real danger. Any of these heavyweights that are like halfway decent will give him a fight. Any of them, like, because all they have to do is stay away from him for 6 rounds, and then he starts to self-destruct. Like, you can see it in him. Signs are there. It's going to happen. Just wait till it happens.
Talking to the big guys, we've got the guru on now, Andy. Tommy Allen's joined us. Big Tommy, we haven't heard from you in a while. I believe that you went for an AJ 1-round blowout, even though you weren't on the pod last week.
No, mate, no. I thought maybe 5 or 6 rounds it was going to last tonight. We know he's tough. He's only really stuck once with Petkin, but I think there's only really one bottom point tonight, and it's that fucking stoppage with Phil Edwards. That was disgusting again.
So what's the deal then, Tommy? We've got Takam with a couple of damaged eyes, Joshua with a broken nose. It's exceeded expectations and the strangest of ways. But Phil Edwards, is he looking out for the fighter, Tommy, or is he, what's going on with the stoppage? Talk me through it. I'm
not sure. I just got the impression that I thought Joshua looked slow tonight. He's definitely too heavy. I know he's put a bit of weight on for this fight. The cut, even earlier when he was cut, I thought the corner had it under control. It's no beater in the bush. It wasn't Vitaly Klitschko against Lennox Lewis, and I thought Edwards, he was taking him out the corner all the time, and especially the second time, it didn't look like he really had to get the doctor to look at that, did he? I thought it was. I just thought the ref was. I thought it was a homer, and oh man, I was enjoying the fight. I can't believe he stopped it. If you look back at the replay, the last 3 or 4 punches never landed when he was going in. I don't know what he was doing. That's fucking terrible.
Do you think, Tommy, just looking at the fight overall, Josh was getting the jab. He was fizzing the jab early quite hard, but as the fight went on, he started to pour with it a bit more. And I think if you look at the way Takam was landing to the body, the way he was getting the right hand over there's a lot of technical flaws there for Joshua, which will be exposed against a fighter of a higher caliber.
Definitely, mate. Yep. He is still work in progress. I know he's got a big fan base. A lot of people rate him in that. But to be honest, he didn't start boxing until late in his career. He is still a work in progress. He admits that he's still learning in the gym and that all the time. There's a big upside on him, obviously. He's got a lot of tools. He is quick. Hits hard. Guy, strong, but there's definitely technically he isn't the best. We've heard talking about sparring Dave Allen and that, obviously talking about sparring and that, but saying that he can be fiddled around and that, so it does look to work. I just can't believe that the fight got stopped. I just kept going back to it, but that's terrible.
Nobody's happy with the stoppage. Ozzie Smith's jumped on the call, and everyone's a bit mystified, really, by what was happening. Phil Edwards obviously has justified it. He's had his reasons. But just looking at the wider context here, Ozzie, do you think that they should maybe try and slam out a couple of stadiums now and try and cash in on Joshua, as strange as that may sound, because the fall seems like it's coming?
The one thing you've always got, and I've always said it myself, you could put Joshua in with a pig and it would sell out. He's that big a draw now. Now, realistically, you say cash out on these stadiums. You've only got, Wembley and the Millennium again. Realistically, the big ones, because we've shown then, I reckon 75% of the crowd who bought tickets didn't even know who Kubrat Pulev was originally when these tickets were bought. Obviously, the late change for Takam. So I don't think they do need to cash in on him. As long as they don't go potentially Deontay Wilder. Tonight is the first time I thought that Wilder could cause him problems and could win the fight. I've always been adamant that Joshua absolutely obliterates him and it doesn't go past 3 or 4 rounds. I think he stops him. For some reason tonight, I just saw something. I thought Wilder could genuinely cause him problems. I thought Takam looked not necessarily at ease at times, but and he wasn't necessarily pushing the fight, but he boxed on the back foot pretty reasonably well. He slipped a lot of shots, and I missed the talk just before I came on, but the stoppage was awful, absolutely awful. Just ignore what the commentators say. Carlos Takam was absolutely fine, and Phil Edwards stopped the fight with Anthony Joshua throwing 3 punches. He landed 0. Now, I just saw something on Twitter then that Joshua's career has been littered with stoppages of sort like this, and it's frustrating, really. I mean, you've got to give it to Takam, but you see the inconsistencies already, don't you, with the Sky? They claim that he's had basically a 6 to 7 week camp, but as soon as he's going the distance, oh, what a phenomenal effort on 12 days. So these little lies start to unravel, don't they? But in terms, going back to your question in terms of cashing out, I don't think they need to, really. Realistically, where they're going to go early next year? I don't think they need to worry about Joseph Parker, even if they go in with him. I think he beats him. Do they go back to Pulev again? Otherwise, who else is going to really cause him problems? Nobody at the moment.
Yeah. Just before I bring Andy back in, Ozzy, you mentioned the commentary team there. I thought Froch was getting it wrong for a lot of the time. He kept on talking about Joshua being at ease. He was talking about him landing punches at will and a lot of punches. I'm not really a man for the punch stats, but like you said, I felt that Takam, to be fair to him, his defence was very sound. He was ducking, he was slipping, he was rolling and blocking a lot of the shots. I don't think a hell of a lot of clean shots actually got through. Even the knockdown, he seemed to be caught off balance. You know, it's the ones that you don't see coming.
I was going to say, yeah, the knockdown, I think he was more preoccupied with the big cut that he had over his eye, and it literally just caught him off balance. He wasn't bothered. He didn't even really hit the deck, did he? He just put a hand down and he was straight back up. So it was one of those more like essentially a flash knockdown. Like you said, he didn't really see it coming. But no, I thought from what we said on last Sunday's show, that Takam, he can definitely take a shot, but he's never going to trouble you in terms of, like beating the top names, because he doesn't really have one of those wins on his record. But no, his defence was pretty solid. He rolled a lot of shots, and Adam Smith's just as bad now. That's the Sky Adam Smith, who he was claiming that big hooks were landing. But then on the replay, she showed that the shots were just blocked by Takam on his high guard, and he just rolled the shots. And like I say, going back to the stoppage, he didn't get hit, but Phil Edwards jumped in. It's like they wanted to end it to keep the knockout streak on a roll, because I just couldn't see Joshua getting him out of there. He took his best shots. He was visibly tired. I thought he came in too heavy. I know Eddie Hearn was mentioning that he was going to come in a lot lighter for this, whether the change of opponent made any difference. But what Joshua actually said, he would have bulked up even more. How big does he want to go, really? I think what was he, 18 stone 3? Barely any body fat on him. There's only so much you can take about this. He was gassed against Vladimir Klitschko, and he was more hurt than Carlos Takam was against Klitschko, and Takam was barely hurt tonight, yet it was stopped, which says it all for me.
Yeah, the feedback's flying in. Marvelous Mendo's already been on the Facebook page. He says, regardless of what happened to Takam, everyone knows that you can't rope-a-dope with the cash cow in his own backyard. It looks like the ref now has a job for life. Just going back to this Wilder thing, Andy, I've always been of the view that Joshua would knock Wilder out. I'll tell you what, I think it could be a real fun affair. You could see them both staggering around the ring, completely gassed out, hands dangling, because don't forget Wilder, he went the distance with Bermain Stavern, but Stavern offered pretty much nothing, Andy. He was just jabbing him off the head. Can Wilder's stamina hold up? This could be a really fun fight.
It might have its moments, mate. You might see Wilder. He's got a decent enough jab. He can move about the ring. Problem is, he goes back in straight lines. He's not got the upper body movement, head movement like Takam had the other night. That's what Takam was giving Joshua the problems. That's the reason why he gassed out. He was taking some body shots. He was slipping the shots and that as well, Takam. So you got to give him credit for that. Wilder's not got that, so I think it's just going to basically come down to a shootout. Who's got the strongest chin and who's got the strongest right hand? I still believe Joshua would walk through him. I don't think Wilder's got a great chin. Joshua's chin's average, I'll say, for a heavyweight. It's not up there with the likes of Holyfield, for example, but that gas tank is suspect. We know Wilder can box to a plan for 12 rounds. We know this. how Joshua navigates a kind of cagey fight like that for like 12 rounds, maybe, again, the other night he was throwing, power shots he was missing, blowing at his arse after like 4 or 5 rounds and stuff. So you just don't know if Wilder can make him miss like Takam did, takes it late, has been successful with the jab and landing some power shots, because you need to be honest, Takam wasn't really powerful the other night. He took some air out of tires by hitting the body, but I think Wilder, being a bigger guy, far bigger puncher compared to Takam, it might cause him some problems, but I still expect Joshua to walk through him. But just on the point that Ozzy was making about the weight, that's 24 pounds he's since his debut he's put on, and he's looking like that, and he's looking like a Greek Adonis, and that's after even spending a year after the Olympics before he turned pro, and he's looking like that. I think we need to get some more testing involved here, gentlemen.
What are you saying, Andrew? What are you saying?
I'm saying we need to get more testing involved here.
Testing outside camp.
365, that's what he needs.
Yeah, it's no secret that the fighters are, a lot of fighters these days are they're taking the juice before they go into training camp, and they're being tested more blood tests all round, I'd say, all the year round.
He's fighting twice a year now. Or he's basically stated he's going to fight twice a year.
Yeah.
2014 he was never kind of fluctuated between 236 and 240, and now he's up at 254.
I tell you what's making me sick, the way the Yanks are writing about him. I seen Steve Kim just tweet, for a big hulking guy, AJ sure has some good fundamentals. What? Who's watching? Are you watching these fights? Let me tell you something about this fella. The right hand was there for Takam, but he couldn't. He's pillow fisted at that weight for a guy 6'1" against a guy 6'7" or whatever he is, 6'6". He wasn't able to hurt him. If Wilder might have a bad chin, but Wilder I think punches harder than Joshua, and if Wilder can find Joshua, is over with. Forget about it.
Do you think the unorthodoxy of Wilder, Rob, would be the thing? The way he throws these completely wild punches. He could catch like Joshua on the top of the head or something.
And I don't think he fears Joshua. I don't think he fears Joshua. I think he'll go and try and back Joshua up. And Joshua's there to be hit. Like, he's not a will o' the wisp. He hasn't got these fundamentals. Like, all he's got is a jab and a right hand. Like, those hooks, he didn't hit anything. He hit fresh air with those hooks all night. And Takam was sacrificing his head to try and find the body. Wilder's not going to fight like that. Like. And if he's there to be hit, he's got the bigger reach. If he hits him on the chin, it's finito. Without a
definitely, I agree with Rob. I think Wilder's definitely a bigger puncher. Regarding the fight between them, I think Joshua just punches too straight. I think he's going to beat him to the punches. He's smaller as well. He's more compact. His punches. Wilder's going to be looking his big shots, and then Joshua's going to beat him up in the middle. I don't think that Wilder's going to be able to take the punches, but it's obviously a fight we're going to need to see. I still think Tyson Fury at his best is head and shoulders above everybody in the division. I think that's the fight I really want to see. I want to see Joshua against Fury. Whether it can be made next year. Obviously, Tyson's still got problems not with licensing and stuff like that, but that's a fight that needs to be made. If Tyson comes back even at 80% of what he was, I'd be confident he'd beat Joshua.
It's fucking annoying, as I say. I mean, you go back to, like, say, the night Fury beat Klitschko. We all thought it was going to be a new dawn in the heavyweight division. We've fucking mentioned this many times. And it's absolute shite now. I mean, people can slag Fury all they want, but him, fit, hungry, in the ring, I'm telling you right now, gentlemen, that guy, he would toy, as Rob says at the start of the show, I think he said it at the top of the show, he would fucking toy me, he'd play with him, a cat with a mouse.
Jab his head off all night, tie him up, make him tired, lie on him, fool him, psych him out. And another thing, and I noticed in the last Klitschko fight, and I spoke about it, and people were giving me stick, he sells wolf tickets in the ring. You can tell when he's tired. He tries to sell wolf tickets to his opponent. He starts talking to him. He's someone with a good game plan or come back to a game plan to beat him. And Fury is the man to do it. But I personally don't think Fury's going to come back. No, that is not for a long time anyway.
Yeah, no, I think the plan, and I thought this before tonight, would be Pulev. I think they're still going to fight him maybe late February, early March time, and then go on to try and get Wilder or something, or maybe Parker in September. But if anybody wants to come on, we're not going to be on all night. Once we've exhausted all the lines of conversation, we will be disappearing. We might talk about the undercard in about 5 minutes' time, see what's going on there. Not a hell of a lot, to be honest with you. Before we do so, let's get Donny Baseball in. He's waiting patiently on the line. Donny, we haven't heard from you in a while. What did you make of tonight's action?
Honestly, I thought it was a little bit less than impressive. Although Joshua didn't necessarily over promise and then under deliver, or under promise and over deliver. he actually basically did exactly what he said he would do, which is to take out Takam in between the 10th and 12th round. That was his pre-fight prediction. I don't, so. But anyway, I mean, I just think that he should have handled the disadvantage that Joshua was enjoying, coming into this fight, and then the fact that the guy hadn't been training to fight Anthony Joshua, and this fight was actually accepted on 2 weeks' notice. So it was a little bit underwhelming, all things considered, and I think that moving forward, I'm a little bit less sure about Joshua handling Wilder. I really am. I mean, I know that Takam is a good defensive fighter. He does slip punches very well. That stoppage was abominable, but we won't even get into that. I'm sure that's already been that subject has already been done to death. But he certainly got favorable treatment from the referee in that respect. That's ridiculous. They obviously were trying to keep his knockout streak going. But yeah, I didn't. When I watched Joshua tonight, he seemed more human and less, more vulnerable than he had seemed to be in previous fights. I thought that he was absolutely wiped out against Klitschko, and he came back from that. So I know that he's capable of quite a bit, and we've already seen evidence of that. But I don't know. There's something about tonight. I think maybe he took Takam lightly. I don't. Maybe he didn't. But I just really I left feeling very underwhelmed.
Donnie, tell me who broadcast the fight over in America, and what were their commentary team saying?
Showtime, and they basically said that Takam did give a very good account of himself, and he had shown that he had the fighting prowess to belong in this fight, and he should have been afforded the respect that he had clearly and properly earned from Joshua. Joshua wasn't going out there swinging for the fences trying to finish him, because he did respect the power, and he did respect Takam as an opponent. There was obviously enough coming back at him that he didn't, just like I said, decide to swing for the fences and go for broke. He took Takam seriously, at least in the ring, and Takam was fighting a good fight. Actually, he was kind of just starting to come on just a little bit, and then all of a sudden, he gets. I don't even want to say he gets in trouble. He was just rocked a little bit by a punch, and which had happened previously in the fight. There were actually occasions earlier in the fight where he was probably more shaken up, such as the moment at which when he went down. And so, I think that they were quite. The Showtime commentary team was pretty disappointed with the stoppage, and I think they thought, this fight was starting to get good a little bit. And even though we have seen Joshua go the distance before, even though we've seen Joshua get into the 12th round before, with Klitschko, or maybe that went to 11. But either way, point is that even though we've seen him go deep into a fight before, even Joshua himself has said that he believed his stamina held him back in the Klitschko fight, and that he could have performed a lot better if his stamina was better. So it would have been interesting to see him go into that 12th round and see what would have happened, especially since Takam was doing some good work to the body and was kind of coming on at least a little bit. I'm not saying he would have won the fight, but I just would have liked to see Joshua go into that 12th round, and that's pretty much exactly what the Showtime commentary team was saying. Particularly Malignaggi, he thought that Takam should have been afforded the dignity of being able to say, "I went 12 rounds with the heavyweight." Yeah. He didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Tommy, whenever I see fights like this, I think to myself, who are the sort of opponents Joshua could go in with? And the only two I can really come up with that I'd be interested in are Wilder and, to a lesser extent, Parker. And it frustrates me a bit, Tommy, because I think to myself, you've got Fury possibly, you've got Ortiz, you've got Povetkin, and for whatever reason, these knobheads, you can't see them in competitive fights, and it pisses me off.
Definitely, Luis Ortiz is definitely a fight you wanted to see, but you don't know what's going on with this guy. He's got a lot of problems with testing. only really 2 fights out there, I think, that could be made in the meantime, and we've just touched on it. It's going to be Deontay Wilder and Joe Parker. Maybe the Pulev mandatory I'll get made again. I'm not really interested in see. I'm not a fan of Pulev. Never have been. I thought I said a long time ago that Joshua should probably be fighting him before he fought Charles Martin, somebody at that level. I'm not a big fan of him. We're going to see this Dillian White rematch as well. I thought he looked terrible tonight against Helenius. Helenius, he's more than shot. He's not been the same since he came back for that. He's not been the same since he came back for the 2-year layoff. His injury, he looked really slow in that. That's going to be your opponent. So Tyson gets his act together, gets he's selling shape, gets a license. We're going to probably see, as I say, the mandatory. If not, it's going to be Wilder, fucking or Dillian White.
Yeah, Rob, let's move on to the undercard. We can avoid it no longer. But a Dillian White against Helenius, that's the only real fight I watched. I saw bits of Katie Taylor, very small amount of Yafai as well. But, I mean, White, he didn't really cover himself in glory, did he?
Oh, yeah, that's the big advertisement for the world title shot, like Dillian White. I feel bad for calling him a trash can. He's not quite a trash can, but he's not. He's never going to be an A-class fighter, like, and he's banging on the door about a world title shot. Okay, the likes of Spilka get a world title shot, so maybe based on that, you might deserve a world title shot. But based on performances in the ring, Derek Chisora gave you life and death, right? You haven't looked good since the AJ fight. The best win is probably against Dave Allen. Like, and no disrespect to Dave Allen, but he's not going to be an A-class fighter either, is he? Like, so I'm just a bit tired of it. Like, it's like, you know, and Eddie, like, with this, and Ludabella's right, like what I'm saying. Ludabella's right, saying we don't want William. We want AJ. Let's unify the heavyweight title. Let's make the fight, like, make the biggest fight, the best fight, the best. No, mandatories. We got to do mandatories. Listen, it's just it's a crying shame. It's a crying shame that to me that the state of the heavyweight division when Dillian White's in the mix. To be honest with you, he's just he's a poor fighter. Like, and what's he offer? Like, what does he offer? We always see from him his vulnerability. Like, so I don't know.
Terrible. Listen, Stephen, you've got a big fight coming up. A big money fight coming up between Hay and Bellew. David Hay's going to beat Bellew this time. I think everybody knows that. David Hay's going to be a much tougher opponent than a lot of these guys out there for somebody like Joshua. I'm not interested in seeing Joshua against really anybody apart from the guys you mentioned earlier. But David Hay, he's a real fight for him. He could knock Joshua out.
I think Bellew is going to beat him again, but that's neither here nor there. Ozzy, tell me about this undercard starting with White.
Oh, I think I'd put a tweet and it was just appalling. It was boring, and I'm not surprised. Dillian White is just not good to watch, and I think there's 5 guys in Britain that could beat him. I mean, I'm including Joshua, David Hay, Derek Chisora, Hughie Fury. I think Joe Joyce, after one fight, I would happily put Joe Joyce in with Dillian White. And I think later down the line, I think Daniel Dubois could beat him as well. I'm not sold on him one bit. And they need to avoid that Wilder fight like the plague. Because I think Wilder absolutely splatters him. He loves a good 360 spin, doesn't he, Dillian White, with a hook?
He does that a few times.
He loves it. He's coming in normality, and it's probably the most entertaining thing you see in his fights at the moment. It was a travesty, and I mean, the Nordic Nightmare. I'll do a Frank Moran here. Do me a favour. What utter tripe he was. Now, I said a couple of weeks ago about his fight was poor. I think it was Gabe that tried to call me out on it, saying I was chatting utter shite. Well, I think tonight's viewing summed it up. Appalling. And there's only one fight for Dillian White, and that's Derek Chisora. It's the only fight people want to see. Del Boy beat him, for me, last time out. Let's see it again. It was entertaining. White. That fight was entertaining. It was more, I think, through Chisora, just relentless bulldozing forward, and it was entertaining. That's the fight we want to see. I have no interest in seeing Dillian White against Deontay Wilder. Just want to see Wilder, Joshua, Chisora, White. The rest of the undercard, I watched Buglioni, Richards. That was okay.
Yeah, what happened in that Aussie? I didn't actually see that.
Richards had a good first 3 rounds. He's not a light heavyweight. He looks small in there. They said he'd moved up. He's made the decision to move up. He needs to make the decision to move back down. I mean, Buglioni's not a big light heavy, and I thought he made Richards look really small. It was routine, but Buglioni got caught as he always does. But it was routine for him. Understand it? What was it? 3-4 days notice, something like that. It's probably one of the worst British title reigns today. He's basically defended his belt. He's got 2 defences under his belt against 2 lads who are English and Southern area level, Craig Richards and Ricky Summers. I caught bits of Katie Taylor. Fair play. I thought she'd win. I thought that I know nothing about women's boxing. Just thought she'd win. She's good. And I barely watched Kaliafai, Shoashida, but I can't take any WBA mandatory serious when his last 2 opponents were 2 debutants. You've got to put this into reality. Imagine like a legit, like a Beterbiev, who was a mandatory. Imagine him boxing 2 debutants in his last 2 fights. It would be murder. It'd be chaos. So,
And that happens quite a lot in Asia to the fighters and that there. They're nearly like exhibitions, but they win their records. But
some of them come over having kickboxing experience as well, I think, don't they?
Yeah.
But no, I thought, to be honest, I thought the whole pay-per-view was appalling. I didn't understand why they didn't show Joe Cordina. Instead, they went to like just punditry and like adverts or promos for the fight. You think you've got the only Welsh lad on the card, and then you're not showing him. And I think he boxed in the 10-15 minute break before the ring walk started. So it's been a rough night for Eddie Hearn, and it's the first time I've seen the casuals, if you were to call them, really bite back. Some trying to get refunds, saying that it's an absolute joke.
I was retweeting them.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw a lot of them actually, and it was. Do you know what? It was quite good to read it, because usually you see these dreadful undercards and you get, Eddie Hearn, you're a godsend, etc., things like that. And it's the first time you see people who aren't hardcore boxing fans really kick off and get pissed off, and it's quite refreshing to see, because at the end of the day, if people are happy, this tripe will keep getting put on. There's nothing changing it. It's just a case of now, hopefully, people stop buying it, and then the cards have got to improve, because all we all want to see is competitive fights. I'm not bothered what they're boxed for. It can be an area a title fight, English, British, European. As long as they're competitive, more than likely, you're going to get good viewing.
I think a lot of the promoters and out there, they're setting them up and making the competitive fights. Obviously, Al Heyman is matching these fighters. He's made some crap over the years, but he's starting to match a lot of these fighters. Frank Warner's doing it. Adam's always done it. He's always made a lot of good fights. But Eddie's just Eddie, isn't he? He loves an ex-Jane show where 41 onshot is your headliner, doesn't he?
I know we've said it before, but I mean, you look at some of the Don King cards and you see them as pay-per-views and stuff. They weren't even, I don't know if that was even pay-per-view over here, and you see the likes of Rackman, Tua, whatever it was, Joppy against Hopkins and Zab Judah, all these fights up and down the card, Corey Spinks, unification with somebody, and I mean, how can that pass for pay-per-view and this can't? But I mean, Andy, what I was going to say to you was, I was expressing my frustration at heavyweights earlier, and another frustration I had with the heavyweight was with that bloody Hellenius. I mean, he come out the first 2 or 3 rounds, and the fight is sort of there for him. He's landing, he's getting the right hand going, he knows what he can do, and for some reason, he's just not in the type of shape that he can do it for 12 rounds, and that just pisses me off.
Mate, listen, I tweeted it during the fight that he was probably training with the Sami people, actually bothering reindeers rather than training for a fight. I saw him shake the right hand, so he's had operations on the right hand before, so I don't know if the right hand's went, but he wasn't conditioned for the fight whatsoever. I might have said it last week that he was maybe a European journeyman. My own thoughts on the card, I didn't see Yafai. disappointed that Buatsi wasn't shown. I didn't find that out until like I read it on Twitter because I wanted to see. Well, that was like, between that and maybe the Buglioni fight, which he was meant to be fighting. Who was he meant to be fighting again? Doesn't matter. But
Callum Johnson.
Callum Johnson, yeah.
That was the one that I was looking forward to. That, and obviously Buatsi because I'm a fan of his, but. It was people as Ozzy was saying, the casual was actually complaining about Joe Cardina not getting shown because they're too busy hyping up the Joshua fight with adverts. As soon as Joshua got into the ring and stuff, they're breaking to adverts. What the fuck, man? It's this absolute shambles all around about, and Eddie is going to basically kind of spin this because Takam's lasted longer than expected. He's put up a valiant performance, I suppose, as such. I did watch a Katie Taylor fight actually for a good portion of it. She saved that show. I don't care if I fuck what anybody says. She saved that show, and purely because Takam's got balls of steel, is probably going to negate any proper fucking negativity towards the card. Katie Taylor's fucking success story and Takam being like fucking ballsy. They can sell the fact as that AJ's got a broken nose and all that sort of shit. Elenius and White, I don't care anybody. White is an accident waiting to happen. I've never known how this guy can get to that level. I'm not even proving it. He's basically trading off of dying out in that one right hand that he landed on fucking AJ and he couldn't follow up on it. This guy is getting vaporized against Wilder. Log it right now. Well, I'm going to go in heavy betting actually fucking on the knockout in that fight. Wilder will fucking erase him.
Wipe him out, and if he's getting 7 million, he should go and take it. If he's really getting 7 million for that, 7 million, one uppercut, he'd be out of the orbit if the bomb squad hits him.
Billy Nelson was saying even Martin Bacoli beats him. Fucking Stevie Simmons even agrees with him.
Yeah, well, he's got shit.
To be honest with you, Steve Wellens give him a tough night, but
I'd fight him. Go ahead, Ozzy.
For 7 million.
I don't agree with what Billy Nelson says. You can talk all he wants about this Martin Bacoli. He's not even boxing Belgium's #1 heavyweight in his next fight. So I'm all right for saying he schools him and he beats him and stuff like that. But back his matchmaking up, realistically. Now, Nelson said it before. He said Gary Corner should school Sam Sexton. Well, we look how that turned out. So I'm not sold on what Billy Nelson says. I've seen Bacoli box before in a little small hall in Ashton-under-Lyne, and he looked garbage then. And he may well be okay, but there's a long way off. Yeah, he's not got a notable performance under his belt or anything like that. But I do echo everything you say about Wilder obliterating Dillian White. I'm trying to find some odds now, see if Paddy Power have priced it up. But if any of you have any savings or anything like that, I would advise to lump on that massively, because it is that is the easiest payday you will get ahead of Floyd Mayweather against Conor McGregor.
Yeah, no, I agree with Ozzy there about Billy Nelson's sentiments as well. Anyone who I know who's seen this Bacoli said he looks like shit, so I'm not going to be getting too excited about him. We're going to start wrapping up soon, guys, so if anybody has anything to say, jump in shortly. Just before you do, Donny, I noticed that all the leading sports writers from all the UK papers were there ringside, tweeting out, lapping it up tonight. If you say you were waking up tomorrow morning, Donny, in your London bed sit, scratching your balls, buying the shit rags from the local newsagent, the Sun, the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, all them papers, what do you think the narrative will be about Joshua's performance? What do you think you're going to read about in tomorrow morning's papers?
Well, I'm sure the media will totally kiss his ass because, I mean, he is an Olympic gold medalist and a son of Great Britain. And, I'm sure that they'll give him very favorable treatment and he stops yet another guy. And I'm sure that they'll treat him that way. But to me, like I said, the headline was underwhelming. I truly believe that, to me, I always thought that, okay, he got past Klitschko, who was the guy that really could have challenged him. And I actually think still would have challenged him in a rematch if Vlad was up for it. But unfortunately, he wasn't. And I thought that was the best fight out there. And so I said, I think Joshua will lord over the heavyweight division for a long time to come. But after tonight, I'm not so sure. I think that Wilder could, potentially, he does have a good jab. He could potentially set up one of those big right hands. And if they get home, who knows what could happen. I'm not saying I would pick Wilder in the fight, but to me, he looked like a fighter who has vulnerabilities that could potentially be exploited by somebody who isn't tremendously talented, but is just sort of talented enough to get the job done. So to me, the headline, if I had to pick it, a headline would be underwhelming.
Underwhelming, says Donny. We're going to bow out whenever we hit 300 listeners. We're on 297 at the moment, so we're doing pretty well. Let's go around each. Oh, 303. There we go. We've managed to get over the...
Steve, what is exactly the British Boxing Board of Control's rule about having microphones in the corners? Because Al Bernstein was saying on Showtime that the reason why they couldn't get corner audio is because the British Boxing Board of Control would not allow it.
Yeah, that's probably one of their rules, to be honest with you. They don't allow you to record in the corner. Although I do remember a few years ago, Donny, whenever Alex Arthur was defending his European title up in Scotland, Wayne McCulloch was in the corner. And for their wisdom, Gabriel Clark from ITV tried to interview McCulloch while he was giving his corner instructions in between rounds. Quite an innovative idea, which didn't quite catch on, but microphones were allowed in the corner then. Maybe they've stopped it since then, Don.
Yeah, I don't quite know about that, but yeah, it's kind of frustrating. I mean, I don't. They're like, to me, I always just say that there should always be a reasonable, rationale for any given rule that you've got, and I don't quite see the logic behind that one.
Well, I could hear what Robert McCracken was saying, so I don't know what Al Bernstein's problem was.
Anyways.
Yes, no problem. Right, let's go through each member of the panel, get your overriding thoughts and feelings. We'll obviously be going live tomorrow night, Sunday, from 8 o'clock as usual. Probably not talking as much Joshua-Takam as we would be, because we've obviously done about 45 minutes tonight. First of all, to you, Tommy the Guru Allen, the head of the Nuthouse. Overriding thoughts and feelings from the evening?
Oh, terrible bit of officiating on an Eddie Hearn card.
Short and sweet from Tommy. Ozzy, what do you think?
Abysmal, utterly abysmal decision to stop the fight. The whole pay-per-view card was a shambles, and it's just been revealed that Dave Allen's fight against Scott Soward has been cancelled. So he's not even... Allen, for all the hassle he's had all week...
Dave, you'll be suicidal tonight, man.
Yeah. I was
You're probably doing the bookies at 8:30 tomorrow morning waiting to know when we're up to get a bet on it.
Yeah, but the small horse shows next week.
The thing is, you do have to feel for someone like Dave Allen. He's waited all night. He's had been completely messed around with his Commonwealth title fight, only for his rescheduled 6-rounder to get binned off at the end of the night. You got to feel for him and things like that. It's an utterly wasted camp.
Definitely, man. He has knocked his shell into good shape as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he looked in real good shape. But again, for a complete waste of time. I think he got his hands wrapped, and they've said due to unforeseen circumstances. So I suspect that it's just a case of they just want to get everything wrapped up. So
yeah, they want to take the lights down and put the seats back, I think. It's been a bit of a farce, though, hasn't it, Ozzy? Let's be honest. I mean, first he was supposed to fight Thomas, then he was going to fight Darch. Darch said no. He's fighting Dubois, I think, at the beginning of December. Then he was going to fight Sean Turner, who accepted it. Dave Allen turned it down. And now this. It's just been a farce from start to finish.
Yeah, it's been an utter travesty. I mean, I've got to say, if this was Frank Warren and he had a fight and messed around with an opponent like that, everybody would be eating into him, abusing him, calling him every name under the sun. Yeah, I think Eddie Hearn's got quite off lightly like this. How do you not know that a Commonwealth title fight, third or fourth fight down on your card, 6 days out is not going ahead? Basically, you're just being mugged off. Find out, cancel it, get somebody in, rearrange it, whatever. Don't wait until bloody Wednesday. It's not a travesty. I think the whole show, from top to bottom, has been a farce. Pullouts, change of opponents, Katie Taylor's opponent missed the weight. For me, it's been one to forget for Eddie Hearn, and like Andy and others said, the casuals have spotted it now. So I think the next couple of pay-per-views, Hey Bellew, and the early ones going into 2018, have the potential to be a real difficult sell.
I agree. Boxing fans do have short memories, though, Rob, unfortunately. Overall, Joshua, more impressed, less impressed? And have you had your mind changed in any great manner from what you saw tonight?
No, it just confirmed what I thought already, that he's going to blow a gasket and the wheels are going to come off this gravy train pretty soon. as soon as he gets a live body. He's just shown vulnerability over and over for the way they're trying to sell him as this heavyweight who's going to have this dominant reign. He's shown so much vulnerability in terms of his stamina, and I think the way he's built is all wrong for a heavyweight. I think he's got too much muscle, too much upper body muscle. He's got little legs, like, and I think he's too top heavy. And I think it's going to, unless they rectify that, I think it's going to cause him problems always in his career. And just to put it in perspective, like Takam, everybody was kind of like down on Parker, like for the Takam fight. So, like, does that mean like Takam's better and Parker's better than what we think? No, like, because we just saw him against Joey Fury. He's not, like, so put that in perspective. Like, AJ's there to be taken.
AJ's there to be taken, Donny. I was just had a thought, actually, Donny, late on. Do you know who Takam reminds me a bit of stylistically? Lamont Brewster. What do you think about that one?
Lemon. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that is a good, a decent comparison. He also, I mean, I'm not saying the way he fights necessarily, although he is a counterpuncher, but his actual posture and also somewhat his look a little bit kind of reminds me of Tony. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I don't, but you know, I don't think that this opponent really showed us a lot tonight. But actually, to be fair, I think that he was a pretty decent opponent that they could get as a replacement for, you know, under the circumstances. I mean, you know, that's not fucking Joshua's fault. So, in terms of the opponent and what it may have told us about Joshua, I'm not quite certain, but I liked, you know, I mean, I like the fight that it gave him, and you know, we roll on. You know, I thought that also was interesting in the aftermath of the fight when they were asking Joshua about, well, do you want Wilder next? And he was saying something about, well, you know, I have my mandatories or whatever. Yeah, but Wilder's the WBC champion, right? So the unifications take precedent over the mandatories. So if he wanted to fight him right away, he could. He just doesn't seem to want to. He wants to pick up another couple of paydays before that happens, it seems. I'm not necessarily faulting a guy for wanting to earn a few extra paydays, but that was a little bit of some bullshit in the interview there. I mean, let's call it like it is.
Business as usual.
They have said that they want to wait another year before fighting Wilder, so I won't hold my breath on that getting made.
Andy, the voice of reason, final word to you.
Fucking voice of reason. Watching that fight, Tyson Fury, if you're watching that fight, mate, you've got to have all the inspiration that you need to get yourself back into shape, down in weight, and fucking take that fight, because, as Rob says, he's waiting to be taken. Shit all round.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't pay for it.
I'm sorry, I just want to ask, does anyone disagree that the version of Tyson Fury that beat Klitschko beats Joshua easily?
Yeah, I said that.
No, I'm saying, but does anyone think that that's not true?
No, some hands. If Tyson comes back 80% of what he was, he'll beat Joshua.
Yep.
He doesn't even need to be that good.
Yeah, I mean, a really good, long, tall boxer like Fury would be, I think, a perfect foil to the exact places where Joshua is vulnerable. Yeah. I mean, I think that if you're Tyson Fury, you're really, like, right now you should be putting down your Coke straw and sweeping the cocaine right off the table, and you should and you should be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm getting back at the gym, because I think he had to be watching that, knowing that he could take this guy. You know, if he just gets his life right and gets his mind right, I think, and you know what, I know that it will happen because there's so much money involved that, but you know, he's still gotta get some tune-up fights in there, and the fight's like, it's at least 2 years away. And it's like, you know, I just wish you'd just get on the stick and let's get going here. Let's move on with this, because, I mean, you know, he's the one guy I think that can really do it. And I think he's totally capable of it. And it's just the ball is totally in his court, because as soon as he's ready, Eddie will be champing at the bit to make the fight.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I'm only joking. Andy, we've got some news here. Surely this is bullshit.
Nah,
on
it's
Twitter.
got to be bullshit, mate. It's got to be bullshit. So I just seen somebody saying that apparently Takam was up on both 2 scorecards. That's going to be absolute shite. I thought AJ was well in front. It was semi-competitive, you know. But I round off pay-per-view shit. Again, I wanted to see Buatsi. Didn't get to see him. Cordina, shame again. Eddie needs to fucking sort shit out here. By the way, Sky. Okay, they can do this type of stuff for Joshua. I would actually like to see a fucking fair bit of fucking heat off this for the casuals. Maybe some refunds and stuff, what have you. But all round, it was awful, absolute shit. And if people say we're too negative on that point, go fuck yourself, because it's just the simple fact, the simple truth.
Here, here.
That was absolute shit. As I say, if it wasn't for Katie Taylor and her opponent actually having a fucking showing mere balls, I think about a woman showing mere fucking balls and sucking so many of these Argentinian fighters that we get coming across the water sometimes, fucking digging in, fighting it out, even going the distance and stuff. That fight and Takam's spirited performance, other than that, absolute shite. AIDS, fucking pay-per-view. By the way, he's actually sacked all pay-per-view off Sky for less for what David Haye did against Vladimir Klitschko. That tonight was fucking 10 times worse.
Way worse. And another thing, if Fury in his prime had put in a performance like that against Carlos Takam, what would Eddie Hearn be saying about
Oh
him?
my God. Fury clowns, no schools, clowns Klitschko, the dominant heavyweight champion for 10, 12 years. And the first thing he say is, oh, it was shit, it was boring, it was terrible, it was this, that, the next thing, the worst heavyweight champion in history, and all that type of shit.
Absolutely. And the English press are ruthless. You see what they do with the football managers. Like, they went after Fury hard. It was a media witch hunt after Fury, like, after he won the world title. Has to be said, like, they went after him. Imagine him going after Joshua like that for his previous convictions or something. Like, it'd be outraged. Like, they let it slide with Fury, like.
Yeah, they managed to keep that quiet very well. Tommy, did you want to say something finally?
Just watched on a free stream and I still felt I paid too much for it. I still felt robbed. It was bullshit. That was shit tonight, man. That's definitely one of the worst pay-per-views ever.
Yep.
What would you say is worse? Hearing's pay-per-views. He against Nodley, Cleverly against Bellew, or that one.
Which was the one where Scott Quigg fought that David Silver on the undercard? Was that
Josh?
No, it was.
Was it?
It might have been because I remember Quigg fought that Japanese guy. I think on the Cleverly card.
I think it was Froch Groves too. That was a bad one. Apart from the main event. Yeah, I'll just give my 2 pence worth before we wrap up. I mean, I just think that Anthony Joshua is a good fighter, but not great. And people saying during the week that he beats a prime Riddick Bowe, they're just way, way off the mark. I mean, seriously, come on now. I mean, I'm a Big Daddy fan, as people may know on this pod, but Jesus Christ. Prime Bowe, first Holyfield fight against Joshua today. Jesus, that could have been ugly, man. Joshua would have been needing the fan man to come into the ring. That's what I'm saying. But seriously, I mean, the guy, Joshua, he has glaring flaws, which could make for exciting fights in the future. But unless he's carefully matched, guys, he could come a cropper sooner rather than later and make Eddie Hearn's cash cow into a sacrificial lamb. That's all I'm going to say. Donny's been on the call, Andy. Ozzy Smith as well, Rob Kelly, Tommy the Guru Allen. I've been Steve Wellings. We shall catch you all tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for a further post-mortem, no doubt. Thanks for everyone for listening. See you later, guys. Bye.
Pay-per-view was shite.